Welcome back to Sean's show, everyone. I'm so glad you are with us. Thank you. I am Sans producer today because I am what's called overdrafted. I'm overdrafted on my bank. I am having a crisis. Not a crisis. It's fine. My life is going good. My bank account right now is a lot like the United States debt. I am in a lot of debt, and I am plunging into a toilet bowl. That's where I'm going. But you had a lot of good memories, and that's what's important. Is that yes, I'm just, my bank is just like the U.S. I'm overdrafted. Things are not, the outlook for the future is not positive, but I remain optimistic because I have a sense of patriotism. I have a sense that things are going to get better, and that's so important in life. I have no producer. I'm just going to I'm turning into a motivational speaker already. It's so important in life to be optimistic because that optimism is what takes you to the next step, because you don't see what's in front of you until you take that step. You don't see what is out there until you start posting content. Until you really start to open your phone every 12 minutes and make a piece of content and cross-post it across every social media out there, you really don't know. You're doing yourself a disservice. And I think that's what I want everyone to know before we get into the news. Thanks for being a listener, by the way. I greatly appreciate it. If you have not already, by the way, please go to Spotify and follow the show. That helps a ton. Review the show. Give us 1 star. Give me 1 star. I don't give a fuck. Give me 0 stars. Make a fake account and give me 1 star twice, as long as you review the show, okay? How about this? You can give me 1 star. If you follow the show, you can give me 1 star, okay? We'll do a deal. But you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not opening your phone every 12 minutes, saying what's on your mind into that device, and then cross-posting it across every social media platform. 8 or 9 different. There's like 8 or 9. Now TikTok is owned. We're going to get to this, by the way. TikTok is now owned, or they divested, I believe. They divested, and they have made a new American entity. And so and by American, it means controlled by Larry Ellison. By the way, that's what that means. By the way, if a lot of people are mad. A lot of people are very unhappy now that TikTok is controlled by the U.S. instead of China, because that's not really what's happening. What happened is TikTok is a great product that happened to be made by the Chinese. And now there's a U.S. entity that's going to be separate from ByteDance, which is the parent company. And this new entity is going to be so much better. It's going to be owned by Larry Ellison, and it's going to be built on top of Oracle, which is where Larry Ellison, you know Larry. Larry's a great guy. Larry Ellison. Yeah, no. Larry's good. He's better. Larry Ellison owning TikTok, much better than Larry Ellison being the one that controls the servers that run TikTok. That's way better than China. That's a way better outlook, okay? Larry Ellison, CIA guy, loves the CIA. I love that. I love it when guys that are from the CIA run the databases that built our social media platforms are built on. I think that makes me feel good. It makes me feel safe that Larry Ellison is now going to decide what shows up on our For You pages. That gives me a sense of peace and security. And that's really all we need, is some peace and security, Shout out. This is just this should just be an appreciation show. I want to give a big shout out. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who has made this world possible, because we really could not have done it without you guys. Basically, anyone who was at the World Economic Forum this past weekend, in this past week, if you were at the World Economic Forum in the past week, I want to give a big shout out to you for making the world as great as it is. So congrats. Just a round of applause. Can we get a round of applause for all of the hardworking people that flew in on their private jets and went to the World Economic Forum in Davos and did podcasts? because that's what it is. We're going to get to a lot of news. We have the World Economic Forum. We have TikTok. We have so much more to get to. Trump is making a board of peace. But what we're going to start with is the WEF, the World Economic Forum. The name itself, I'm already like, I'm already skeptical. The World Economic Forum is a conference where the world's supervillains fly in on their private jets and talk about new ways to divide the masses and to chop us up and cut us up into little streams of revenue. That is the world. That is the purpose of. Make no mistake that is the purpose of the World Economic Forum. The purpose of the World Economic Forum is to look at all of the revenue streams that are being generated from the masses, and it's to figure out ways to squeeze a little bit more out of the poor and the middle class. It's how can we juice 0.05% more revenue out of 1.5 billion people? That's the point of the World Economic Forum. But it's disguised as like this AI, as like this, as this intersection between diplomacy, international policy, ideas, the future. The World Economic Forum is like if TED Talk people. The World Economic Forum is like if the people that did TED Talks had the same level of intelligence, but 12 times the amount of malevolence. That is what the World Economic Forum is all about. It's TED Talks for supervillains. That is what that's what it is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. The entire world's elite go there and they cross their legs and they talk about, well, first of all, they talk about AI. Here's my advice. If you are an aspiring global elite and you want to get your foot in the door, and let's say you're making your first appearance at the World Economic Forum, let's say you just injected your first batch of adrenochrome. I'm turning into Alex Jones already. No one else is in the room, and I immediately turn into Alex Jones. This is harder than it looks, people. Let's just say you're a first-time goer to the World Economic Forum, and you're trying to find your footing. What I would recommend to you as a guy that watches it all the time on my way to work, what I recommend to you is that, number one, you have to talk about the transformative power of LLMs. Number two, you have to talk about the failure of globalism and what's next for the geopolitical environment. Number three, you have to talk about how the world is becoming multipolar and that the United States hegemony is deteriorating rapidly. And number four, when they ask you to put the goat head on at the after party, you put on the goat head. You put on the goat head, okay? That would be my recommendation to you. If you want to get invited back to the World Economic Forum, you need to put on the goat head at the after party. You need to do the ritual. Whatever the ritual is that they do at the World, I'm joking, but whatever that is they do. And that's the thing, is like at the World, I think conspiracy theorists, they look at the World Economic Forum, and I think they're giving these people like way too much artistic credit and creativity. People that go to the World Economic Forum, they are not going to these after parties where they put on goat heads and inject adrenochrome and do a bunch of heinous shit that I'm not going to say because you probably have an idea of what it is. They're not that creative. I think they are that malevolent, but they're malevolent in like a benign way. You know what I mean? Like they're lazy. They are lazy. They are not that smart. They are not that, I don't think that these globalist rituals are happening at the World Economic Forum. I don't think that they're that fun. I don't think that the people, I don't think they're that fun. I'm not saying those rituals are fun. Parts of it might be fun. I mean, there's a lot of shit that happens that's that the conspiracy theorists say happens that I think is fucking disgusting and reprehensible. But like the goat head's kind of creative and cool, and that's what I'm trying to say is like they're not that creative. You know, the after parties. Imagine going to the after party at the World Economic Forum. What is that like? You just talk, you just walk around and you just run into Jerome Powell. Oh, hey, Jerome. You know, he's just like he's just like surrounded by security guards, terrified that at any moment Donald Trump is going to assassinate him and order a hit out on him. I'm okay. I'm good. You keep your power. Hey, honestly, guys, you have fun with your power. Have fun being, number 3 at a government agency. Have fun. Have fun being the Deputy Secretary of State. Have fun. I'm okay. I think I'm good. It's not worth the caviar dinners and the black SUVs and the amount of stress that it causes on your body and mind and soul. I'm good. I'm more than happy to watch you guys, wither away under the pressure of that life. It's not. I think when I was a little younger, I'm almost 30. Long silence. Almost 30, and I think 30 is the age that I realize. I'm almost 30, and I'm at the age where I'm realizing that I'm probably never going to go to the World Economic Forum. The train is gone. That private jet took off. So if you guys could just pour one out for me, because ever since I'm from Silicon Valley, and like ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to go to the World Economic Forum and just do deals. That's all I wanted. All I've ever wanted to do is go to Davos on a Gulf Stream. Can I go to Davos on a Gulf Stream and go to the World Economic Forum and talk about the transformative power of LLMs just once, please? We need to have a Make-A-Wish for adults. Can we have a Make-A-Wish except it's adults with cancer, or just adults? Period. Point blank. Period. Can we have I want to make a wish for adult. I want to make a wish for Sean Riley. That's what I want. I'm about to be 30, and I'm realizing that the chances of me being a global power broker that flies around on private jets and moves human beings on a chessboard and has immense power over other people, I think that door's closing. That was just my dream as a mediocre white man, it's always been my expectation that I would be at the World Economic Forum at the age of 29, and that's not happening, and it's really fucking me up. The fact that I am not at the World Economic Forum at the age of 29, talking with billionaire CEOs about new ways to surveil on the public, the fact that I'm not in the room with those people, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that I'm not at the World Economic Forum right now doing lines of Adderall with the Palantir CEO. Why am I not at the World Economic Forum right now railing Adderall with Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, Palantir CEO? Why am I not there? What mistakes did I make that I am not doing that right now? So much is going on that I feel like I'm missing out on. All these different talks. The World Economic Forum is where you go. The World Economic Forum is where all of the world's globalists gather to confidently declare that globalism has failed. That is what it is. And again, and people, when you talk about globalism, I've asked this myself. I go, well, what is a globalist? What does that even mean? I like the globe. I'm a globalist in the sense that I like Earth. I'm bigger than a globalist. I'm a solar systemist. I'm a galaxyist. I'm a universist. I'm a multiversist. That's how That's how much I don't believe in sovereignty. Is I believe that everyone has a right to be everywhere at all times. I don't know, man. It is, and unfortunately, I'm on a shoestring budget, so I would usually have videos to watch with you guys, but we're gonna keep it raw this time, and so I don't know. I mean, just instead of watching a video of Alex Karp at the World Economic Forum, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna imagine that he said some crazy shit. Oh God, I don't know. I mean, everything is. And again, the World Economic Forum. We'll move on soon. The World Economic Forum is further proof of my point that everything has become content. Everything has become content. The All In podcast, right? The World Economic Forum. It's where Jamie Dimon goes to talk about how there should be no limit on credit card interest rates. That's your take. By the way, that's real. I am gonna look that up because that's crazy. This is a story. I mean, again, this. Let me read this to you guys because these are. These are the takes. These are the types of takes that people have at the World. If you're curious on what you're missing out on, this is the type of stuff that people say at the World Economic Forum. This is from JP Morgan. This is from Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan himself. Listen to this. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon warns of economic disaster as Trump backs credit card rate cap. Let's take a look at listen to this. Listen how crazy that's your take, bro. Mr. Jamie Dimon, that's your take in the big 2026 is you're going to say that limiting interest rates on credit cards is going to collapse the economy? That of all the things in the world that are going on right now, of all the things that are happening in the world politically, culturally, digestive food, anything, Hollywood, technology, all of the things that are going on in the world, Jamie Dimon has stood up and said that the most important thing to point out is that capping interest rates on credit cards would amount to an economic disaster. That is the kind of thing that Jamie Dimon is standing up for. Listen to this. He goes, it would remove credit from 80% of Americans, and that is their backup credit. Well, I'll tell you what. I used that shit up, bro. So basically he's saying if Jamie Dimon's it's a threat. He's basically saying, well, if you're going to cap credit card interest rates, then I guess we're just not going to give people credit cards. Basically, that's what he's saying is if you want to make it, what he's saying is he's saying, and actually, it's very interesting. I covered this last week. Trump is introducing like a lot of very bipartisan popular stuff right now. And I have a little hunch, just a little hunch, that it's not because he cares about you. Now, last week we talked about how Trump was banning private equity firms and hedge funds from buying single-family homes and putting them in a portfolio and ruining the dream of owning a home. Now, Trump has also proposed a cap on credit card interest rates until the end of the midterm election cycle. I mean, that's really... That is actually, like, I wish we could just be honest about this shit. Like, all of these policies that Trump is now proposing that are like super good ideas, I wish they could just be reported on honestly and he could just talk about them honestly. I wish Trump would just come out and say, hey, I am proposing a 10% limit on credit card interest rates until after the midterm election cycle. Then you guys can go back to doing whatever the fuck it is you do, charging 29 million% a month. Trump is proposing a ban on BlackRock owning single-family homes which will be in effect until after the midterm election cycle is over. And that's great news. Great job, everyone. Woo! Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's doing things. So, and he, by the way, this is also admitting that he knows what people want. He's doing these things because he knows he's not that dumb. He's a smart guy. He knows the list of things that he could do that would actually make him popular. And he saves those things for when his popularity is at an all-time low, which, by the way, is, I think, probably around now. And now, those are his silver bullets, right? Capping credit card interest rates, stopping BlackRock from buying homes. I mean, at this point, maybe he even tries to stop campaign finance, like he does campaign finance reform. He knows Citizens United. He could do corporate lobbying, right? He could do all these things immediately, and everyone would love him. But he waits, until midterms, and then gets in a fight with Jamie. And then Jamie Dimon comes out and goes, "Oh, I don't know if that's right." What a fucking loser. Fuck you, Jamie. Hey, Jamie Dimon, fuck you. Jamie Dimon said that a limit on the monthly interest rates on credit card debt at 10% would collapse the economy. That's rich, coming from the CEO of a bank that helped collapse the economy in 2008. That's rich. I'm definitely going to trust the guy that ran a bank during the recession. Let me double check that. What if I do so Jamie Dimon, you're saying that if we cap interest rates on credit cards at 10% to help the average person, you're saying that would collapse the economy. You know what I'm going to do? I have a laptop here that's connected to something called the internet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, 2008. Just out of curiosity, I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to see what comes up. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, 2008. Let's take a look here. Can I get a drum roll? If you're listening or watching, let me get a drum roll, please. Okay. So, here's a headline that you might find interesting. This is Yahoo Finance, unbiased. Here's a headline that you might find interesting, Jamie Dimon. Here's a headline. Here's something that you said, allegedly. I need $30 billion by tonight. Okay. So the guy that needed a $30 billion emergency loan has an opinion on what he thinks is good for the economy. Okay. So Jamie Dimon pushed back on Trump. Trump is trying to cap interest rates on credit cards. Jamie Dimon said that's going to collapse the economy. Let me read you a paragraph, okay? One of the most intense moments came on March 13th, 2008. Dimon was at a Greek restaurant with his parents when his phone rang. On the other end was Bear Stearns CEO Alan Schwartz in full panic mode. Jamie, I need 30 billion bytes. Oh, actually, sorry. It was the Bear Stearns CEO that needed 30 billion. Well, there goes my whole argument, guys. And I just blow my head off. So Jamie Dimon landed Bear Stearns 30 billion. And I don't know. I actually honestly don't know his whole legacy with respect to the financial crisis. But let me see if there's anything else here. I'm trying to discredit him, okay? What a fucking scumbag. And he'll be the president. By the way, Jamie Dimon will probably be the president. And okay, here we go. Okay, I'm not crazy. I found it. Are you ready? This is from Wikipedia. Are you ready for this? Okay. So, we have something here. JP tends. Let me just look up this. I want to see if JP Morgan got bailed out. Usually, I have a producer, who does this stuff for me, but I need to bail out too. And by the way, that's why I'm actually the same as Jamie Dimon. I have no right. Okay, here we go. So, here we go. So Jamie Dimon has an opinion on what's good for the economy. Listen to this. This is from the New York Times archives. March 18th, 2008. JP Morgan's $12 billion bailout. So you got a $12 billion bailout. And what is a bailout? That means we pay for you. Over the weekend, this is from 2008, this is a blast of the past. Over the weekend, the Federal Reserve bailed out JP Morgan Chase. The stock is up 10% in a down market. The Federal Reserve is, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that Jamie Dimon has any credibility on anything. And it's not just him, you guys. It's everyone. It's everyone. It's everyone. It's everyone. It's everyone at the world. If you are at, I mean, the only way to save the world truly is to nuke the World Economic Forum. It's really the only way. I don't know if maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is I want to propose something that I think could be seen by a lot of people as a little bit radical. But I'm just going to throw it out there. And I'm not saying that anyone should do this, but do you think that it would move the needle in terms of helping save humanity if we just set off like a nuke at the World Economic Forum? Do you think if we nuked them? And I'm not even talking about like a big fat man nuke. I'm talking about like a tactical nuke. What if we just hit the building where Palantir was hanging out? Would that be okay? I'm not even talking about the whole thing. How about just a tactical nuke where Palantir and all the oil execs were? By the way, I'll be at Davos next year. By the way, I will go down with the shit. Oh God, this show is fucking crazy. I don't know, guys. It's actually the World Economic Forum is like beyond tone deaf. It's beyond. It's circled around. You know, at the top of the circle, you have sincerity and self-awareness, and then you keep going around this circle, and you get to ignorant and ironic, and you keep going around the circle, and you get to tone deaf, and then you actually circle all the way back around to a level. You circle all the way back around, but it's not like a circle; it's like a helix. So you go back to the same place, but you're in like another layer. Are you guys following me? I had a lot of coffee today. You're in like a helix. So you're back where you thought you were, but you're not actually back to a level of you're at a level of self-awareness that is so twisted that you actually think that you're doing good. It's beyond it's not even just like they're poor, and I would rather people at this conference in Davos, I would rather them talk about the poors and call them the poors. I would rather them talk about us as if we were trash, as if we were peasants, because that's what we are to them. But they talk about it as if they give a fuck about safety, about anything. It's where and you know what's crazy? You know what's insane? Is that pretty soon, if he's not already there, if you guys think it's crazy right now, if you guys think that the state of affairs is crazy right now, I guarantee you, mark my words, in 5 years or less, Mr. Beast is going to be at the World Economic Forum making policy decisions about NATO. Okay? It's going to be Mr. Beast and Jake Paul. Mr. Beast and Jake Paul are going to run NATO. And they're going to be at the WEF with their legs crossed, talking about, you know, how to reinvigorate Gen Z's patriotism and revitalize Gen Z's patriotism now that TikTok is sovereign. TikTok is sovereign. Thank God TikTok we've reclaimed sovereignty over TikTok. That's always been really important to me, is that TikTok be owned by Larry Ellison, by the way. It's really important to me that that TikTok not be owned by China, because, you know, I don't want China to influence the slop. I'm glad. I'm actually glad that TikTok is now controlled as a US entity, because I don't want Chinese slop showing up on my For You page, AI slop generated by Chinese data centers. I like my AI slop born and bred and generated right here on American data centers. That's the new use for farmland now. The new use for farmland is data centers that poison that community. They've shot the pigs, they've murdered all the animals. Make way, farm. We don't need a real farm anymore. Now we want a data farm. Clear the way. Oh, you're a farmer and you've grown corn here for 25 years. Now we're going to grow porn. Hey, are you a farmer in Iowa? Well, I have news for you. I'm with Meta. Oh, you don't know what that is? That's what's going on in America right now. That's what's going on in the United States. That's our entire economy is being the entire world is being absorbed by AI. It's crazy. That's what's going on. Is you have like really insane situations happening that are like genuinely hilarious, where it'll be like a farmer who's grown corn. He's like a 5th generation farmer, and he's grown corn on the same patch of land, on the same 12 acres of land for his whole life. And then one day he gets approached by a guy in a suit who's like, "Hey, I'm with Anthropic, and I'd like to buy your land. You've grown corn here for 25 years. I'd like to buy this land from you. I'll give you $10 million. And the farmer's like, "Well, golly, that sure is a lot of money, but what are y'all going to do with the land? Are you going to grow anything? Are you going to grow corn?" And she's like, and the guy's like, we're going to surveil immigrants. We're surveilling immigrants. Do you want to know the truth? And then the guy's going to be like, "Well, I'm happy to sell you my land. That's a mighty paycheck, but what are y'all going to do with the land?" And then he goes, "Look, do you want the truth, or do you want me to lie to you?" "Do you want the truth?" "Well, I guess so. We're going to use it to surveil children. We're going to use it to surveil children and then deport them." "Well, all right then. All right then. If they came here illegally, that's fine by me. Was he born here? Long as you guys don't surveil me." "Oh, we're going to surveil you. Long as you guys don't surveil me, because that's my 4th Amendment right." "Oh, no, we already do. That's how we found your land. We surveilled you. You will be surveilled. Make no mistake that you will be surveilled. You will be surveilled. They will take the data, and who knows what happens after that. Trust us. Just trust us. Just trust us." Thank God China doesn't own TikTok. I was really getting worried for a second. I'm so glad Larry Ellison owns it now. I trust him a whole lot. Thank God that Larry Ellison now is the backbone behind the U.S. entity of TikTok. And Oracle is an investor. Silver Lake is an investor. The Emirati investment firm MGX. What is that? What is that even? The United Arab Emirates, to form a new TikTok U.S. joint venture. Listen to this bullshit. Listen to this bullshit that TikTok has to say. Now that TikTok's owned by the United States, listen to this announcement. The new version will operate under, quote, "defined safeguards that protect national security through comprehensive data protections, algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurances for U.S. users. Wow, that's so guys, that's awesome. I really would love to know what you mean by content moderation. Does that mean we can still talk about Charlie Kirk or no? Does that mean we can talk about Israel? Probably not. Am I on TikTok? Of course I am. Do I love it? Is it where a lot of my fans are? Yes. Am I going to continue to use it and help Larry make more money? Of course I am. Okay? But I have boundaries. I will not go to Riyadh. That is a very important boundary. I will not interview politicians. You will not, I'm a comedian, I'm an artist, and you will never see me on the All In podcast. I'm a comedian, I'm an artist, and I think that if you go on the All In podcast as a comedian, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself, and you've totally lost the plot. If you're a comedian and you sit down with the supervillains on their podcast, then I don't want to hear anything you have to say ever again. It's that simple. If you're a comedian and you sit down and you have a conversation with Peter Thiel where you are not actively shaming and cursing at him and telling him to commit suicide, then I don't even know what you're doing with your life at that point. like having a cordial discussion with the world with a supervillain is not cool. It is not, doesn't make you cool. Okay? It's you're a fucking disgrace. You're a fucking disgrace. And you can take that to the fucking bank. Okay? Because I will stand on that business, and I'm a white guy, and I shouldn't even be saying stand on business, but I'm standing on that business. Okay? I don't know. I just, they reached a deal. Let's move on though. We have a. Let's move off politics for a sec. Thank you for still bearing with me. If you live in the United States, by the way, if you're on the East Coast or in the South, maybe you're in Texas, maybe you're in Oklahoma, you got to be worried. You got to be very worried, not just about ICE, the agency. You have to also be worried about ICE, actual ICE. There's apparently there's this like big storm coming. I don't fucking care. Can we? Is that so crazy that and I know, I'm not even going to pre-qualify it. Is it privileged of me to not be worried about the weather? Yes, it is. Do I have heating and air conditioning in my apartment? Yes, I do. Okay? So yes, I am aware that I'm coming from a place of privilege when I'm saying this, but can we please shut the fuck up about the weather and all of this? Every year there's a, and I'm going to sound Republican when I say this, and I'm not. I believe in global warming. In this house, we believe there is a climate crisis. On this show, on Sean's show, we believe that there is a climate crisis. If you follow the science, you will find that the cause of the climate crisis is the World Economic Forum. I believe half of that shit. You know what I'm talking about. In this house, we believe, water is a right, blah, blah, blah. I believe half that shit. Actually, I don't know. Actually, maybe all of it, depending on, then you're, well, which ones do you don't believe? I don't know. I guess I do believe all of them, but I also believe that, we also need to just relax, and we also need, when it comes to a winter storm, I think we need to take the cocaine. I think we need to take the cocaine away from the meteorologists. That is what I think we need to do. My theory is this. The weather is becoming more chaotic, yes, because we're polluting the fucking environment, and we're probably not going back. If you're alive right now, we may very well see a world that is, markedly different from what it is right now. even geographically. We might see a world where fucking Florida's underwater in 50 years. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Right? But at the same, so I will give the meteorologists and the climate scientists, you guys, you have my respect and you have my thanks for doing that research. At the same time, and this is maybe more of like the news media and the weather media really needs to fucking relax. Okay, it's going to be 9 degrees in New York. I don't fucking care. Okay, I'll stay inside. And you know what? I can use my own judgment too. If I go outside, I don't need a bunch of every fucking media channel screaming at me that there's going to be a generational storm. That's not news anymore. If there's a generational ice storm every year, then it doesn't need to be news anymore. It's not like this is from AP News. Let me read you this. More than half the U.S. threatened with, and I'm going to regret this completely. Like, what if I say all this and then put it out on YouTube and then like 2 days later I die in an ice storm? That would be hilarious. That would be fucking hilarious if I say all this shit and I die in an ice storm. More than half the U.S. threatened with ice, snow, and cold in a massive winter storm. You know what it is? The weather, it gives people something to talk about and something to get invested in when their lives are hopeless. That's really what it is. Being invested, or if you're retired, the reason that the weather is a thing for retired people to obsess over, and it keeps them entertained. The chaotic weather events and talking about them is what retired people do because their son won't talk to them anymore. That's what it is. The weather and it's people that are really, really into the weather. Generally, I would say they're retired and they do not have good relationships with their children. I think if you're really, really into the weather and it's something that that's for some people, the weather is like sports. That's the thing that they check first when they open their phone. And some people like me, I check the stock market because I'm successful. I'm kidding. I'm overdrafted. Some people that are, probably have a lower IQ, they check sports. How are the Eagles doing? And then there's some people, when they open their phone, there's 3 types of people. The first type of guy is the guy that opens his phone and he checks the stock market, okay? He's an asshole and he's rich. The second type of guy, he opens his phone, he checks sports. He generally is happier than the rich guy, probably has a nice family, kind of dumb, but generally loves his life. The third type of person, they open their phone and that guy's checking the weather. And that is a man that hasn't spoken to his son in 28 years. And that is true, okay? If you are really obsessed with the weather, you probably don't talk to your daughter anymore. You probably don't. I'm sorry. You probably have a number of restraining orders against you. Valid restraining orders against you. I call it like I see it. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm just calling it like I see it, okay? And if you're really into the weather, you need to go to therapy. The weather is like a last resort thing for people to be interested in when everything else in their life is connected to emotional hurt. The weather is fun to pay. The weather is fun to pay attention to because it's this thing that's uncontrollable and it's always changing. And the media can make money off you. It's entertainment. They were talking all these weather guys, they were talking a month ago about an atmospheric river. Shut the fuck up. It's called a storm. Atmospheric river. Stop coming out. I'm you know what? Truly, I'm almost 30, but I have I'm almost 30 and I already feel like a boomer. Because when I feel that I'm almost 30, truly, guys, I feel like a boomer. I feel like I'm on death's door because I think I'm old for my age because I'm 29. But whenever I hear the term atmospheric river, it makes me want to put a bullet in your fucking head. It's called a storm. I was on over the holiday, you know, and I was at this is actually a funny moment. I was at Hertz renting a car, and you know, I was talking with my girlfriend. I was renting a car, and this older guy who runs the Hertz comes out, and I'm talking about the atmospheric river, and I'm like, can you believe this bullshit? And he doubled down. He was like, you know, back when I was a kid, they just called us a winter storm. And I'm like, you know what, bro? I fuck with you, and you know, your son probably does not fuck with you. He was like racist. Like, I'm racist against new types of terms for the weather. I'm like ignorant and I'm a bigot when it comes to new terms about the weather. If you want to be non-binary, that's fine. If you want to use zim, zer, zam for your pronouns, I'm down. But if you want to call a winter storm an atmospheric river, you're a liberal pussy and you should shut the fuck up. Go back to fucking Brooklyn with that shit. Go back to... By the way, we are in Brooklyn. Thank you. Go back to fucking Brooklyn, okay? Take your matcha latte. Go back to fucking Manhattan in your fucking little safe space. All right? You can be trans. You can be whatever you want. Born as a man, identify as a woman, live your truth. But if you want to if you're like really, really obsessed with this snowstorm, and yeah, I get it. I'm not crazy, you guys. I get it could knock out power. It's an important, compelling event. But you want to know why it's an important, compelling event? It's because our infrastructure is fucked. And no doubt, when the storm comes to Texas, I lived in Texas. When the storm comes to Texas, people are going to fucking die. That's what's so sad is it's treated like an earthquake, even though it's just a storm. Because our infrastructure is privatized. The reason that this storm, so many people are scared of it, is that our power grid is being held up by one hamster that runs on a wheel, and we inject him with cocaine. That's the power grid. That is why the weather is so like scary to people in certain areas, because especially in like the South, they don't believe in big government. So what they've done instead is they've said, hey, what if we ran the power grid and we made that a private company, and only in certain areas your only option is one provider, but it is a private company, so they do want to run and make as much profit as possible. And so what we're going to do is, it's a great idea. Instead of having the government run the power grid in Texas, what they have what's called a free market. And the reason the free market is better is because instead of having one power grid run by the government and overseen by like a regulatory authority, that's woke, liberal, big government bullshit. Doge got rid of that. Thankfully, Elon, we're pushing back on all that shit. In Texas, we love our free market and we love innovation. The free market, it breeds innovation. What's an example of that innovation? Well, it's a power grid that collapses when you get half an inch of snow. What an innovation. What an innovation. It's so innovative that when it snows a little bit, the entire power grid collapses and 5 80-year-old women die in their sleep. That's, wow. Guys, we're really killing it. Listen to this shit. Over 200 million people were under cold weather advisories or warnings. In many places, utility companies are bracing for power outages because ice-coated trees and power lines can keep falling long after a storm has passed. It's going to be crazy, you guys. Ice, snow, and sleet could be falling later Friday in Texas and Oklahoma. The storm was expected to slide into the south. Then it will move into the northeast, dumping about a foot of snow from D.C. through New York and Boston. So just so you know, Sean Show, we are now a weather report. Flights being delayed. It is a big story. That's why I'm talking about it. But I'm just saying, it's like all the weather does is it exposes our existing issues that we continuously and actively decide to not fix. So it's like you shouldn't be afraid of a winter storm. You should be afraid that your government fails time and time again, and your politicians fail time and time again to invest in safeguards and create power grids and systems that can stand up to a storm that may not even be that bad. It's like being a frail old man. The United States, when it comes to winter storms, we are like a frail old man trying to bench the bar. I'm getting kind of alpha male right now. Let's say you're at the gym. It's the United States. We are like the frail old guy at the gym trying to bench just the bar. There's no weight on it. We're trying to bench press just the bar. And the bar is this winter storm that, yeah, it's aggressive, but it's not catastrophic. And that's our power grid in the United States. We are a frail old man, struggling to bench the bar, and we're going to get crushed by the bar. That's what's happening. That's the pathetic situation that we find ourselves in. I'm just calling it like I see it. Guys, it's just we really need to get our shit together. That's what we need to do. We need this year. We're almost, it's almost February already. Let's get our shit together. Okay? Because there's two types of people in the world. I know I said there was three earlier, but there's two types of people in the world. Either you are an old man, a poor old man in Oklahoma getting fucked by the power grid, or you are a 28-year-old executive assistant in Davos at the World Economic Forum giving a blowjob to Peter Thiel in a snow lodge. That's your choice. In life, every one of us is presented with a choice. Either you can live in Texas and be hooked up to a power grid that will fail when one snowflake drops onto the servers and drops onto the electrical grid and collapses, and you can die from sub-zero temperatures. And your other option is to work your way up to being an executive assistant of a multinational surveillance company and suck that CEO's dick in a snow lodge in Davos. So I think I know what I would do if I were you. And the question is, will you rise to the occasion and open up that mouth of yours and get your ass to Davos? Okay? Because there's a lot of horny old men at Davos, and they're not picky. They are picky when it comes to subcontractors for their corporations, but they are not picky when it comes to other things. So that is our show, you guys. I love you so much, and thank you for bearing with me today. We have no producer, but don't worry. Just like JP Morgan, I will get bailed out by the Federal Reserve. I will get an emergency loan. I'm on my way. I have an emergency loan. But my Federal Reserve is, of course, my father. So I'm waiting on that emergency loan. We will be continuing the show, though, on the Patreon, patreon.com/Sean's Show. Please subscribe. There's a ton of content, and I do call it content because my mind is being poisoned by Mr. Beast. There's a ton of bonus episodes. We do a bonus episode every single week. So please subscribe to the Patreon. It helps support the show. Subscribe on YouTube. Like the show on YouTube. Shoot me a little comment if you watch the episode. If you're still watching right now, comment, start a dialogue, talk about adrenochrome, whatever you want, or other stuff. Start a dialogue. I want to build a community of friendly, cool people, which I'm sure everyone that listens to this is friendly and cool and extroverted and stable with what I talk about. So thank you so much, you guys. I love you. I really appreciate you. If you're still listening, I really do appreciate you being a listener. Thank you very much. Again, review the show Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. It all helps. Tell your friends about the show, and come see me live, seanreillycomedy.com. I'm in Columbus on March 12th, and I'm adding tour dates all the time. So I will see you on the internet, in the ether, and let's be honest, we'll probably all see each other in hell. Thank you for being a listener. I love you. Have a great week.